Good evening. Welcome to our August 16th, 2022 City Council meeting. It is 7:03 p.m. Meeting is now in session. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Matt Chavez from All-in-One Church, West Covina, and Mayor Pro Tem Diaz will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise, please.
On behalf of One and All Church, thank you for having us. Let's all pray. Lord Jesus, we thank you for this great time to come together, united as one city of West Covina, God. And we know you're behind us and you are our foundation. So we know that businesses can thrive, Lord, and we can continue to make some great decisions, Lord. And we ask you for that wisdom tonight, Lord, in all of our conversations, God, because that's one thing you say, don't stop asking. Keep asking for more wisdom, God, and we need more of that, Lord. And we're thankful for that, God, and we're thank you for your amazing grace, Lord, and just continue to bless us, Lord, because we want to see West Covina thrive, God, not just survive, but thrive, always on the go, Lord, because we're all thriving and we're in this together. We believe in community, so we're all about that, God. So we thank you tonight, Lord, that we can come together, keep working it out. And we thank you for your favor and your blessing. In Jesus' name, everybody said, amen.
Place your right hand over your heart.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Assistant City Clerk, roll call, please.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Councilmember Tabatabai.
Present.
Councilman Wu.
Here.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Diaz.
Here.
Mayor Castellanos.
Here. Thank you. City Attorney, is there anything to report out of closed session?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. The presentations part of our agenda will be led by a presentation by Police Chief Bell on the active shooter training that recently took place. Thank you, Chief. The microphone is yours.
Testing.
Right. Good afternoon, Council. Good afternoon, staff, members of the audience. I think all of us over the at least past year have seen all of the mass shootings that have taken place, and I think that our hearts go out most when it's involving children, although all of it is a tragedy. Last year, when this happened right at the end of the school year, members of the school district, superintendents reached out to me, and they were obviously very concerned about what we were doing in our communities to protect our children. I acted in that moment, make sure we had some extra patrol to make sure that we can finish out our school year and make sure our kids were safe. And in the interim, we started talking about when was the last time we had an active shooter training. And because of COVID and some of the other things, it had been a while. So I challenged my training cadre to come up with a program. And let's do it again. And just so you know, it isn't the first time that West Covina has done this. We have done it at multiple schools, the mall. We've done it at churches, but we hadn't done it in a while. Our training cadre came up with a dynamic program. The first part of the program consisted of classroom instruction, which lasted somewhere between 4 and 5 hours. That's where they go over things like, what is it? What are we looking for? What do we do? Those things. How are we going to respond as a police department? And then the second half of that training was actual practical training, which we performed at Treywick Middle School this year. Simunitions were involved. Obviously, we use simunitions because we can walk away from them, but it also gives the officers sort of that live feel. And although I'm not going to go into the exact training that we did, I want you to know that there were several trainings that were done around the schools, small pocket trainings, encounters with what we call suspects or bad guys. And then at the end of that training, we came together for one large training. The fire department was very instrumental in being there because, as you know, if there's an active shooter training, obviously the fire is going to be involved. So they're our partners. They were there to assist. It was a real scenario. We had dispatchers involved. We involved kids from outside of our organization to come and act as role players. It was the real deal. It was so real that residents around the neighborhood actually thought there was live fire. And just so you know, we did put out a notification that we would be doing this, but it's different when you hear it. And I just want you to know that that training will definitely help us as we move forward. It's something we plan on continuing to do. I think the Councilman Leslie Lopez was able to get out there and actually put eyes on it and see it for herself, and I think she was very impressed. So I do thank you and anyone else that showed up for it. I'm not sure who else showed up for it, but I just want you to know that we take that seriously. There was something else that was done behind the scenes. We actually had meetings with Queen of the Valley, and we went down there and we had a very good talk with them about some of the things we can do at their facilities and some of the things that they can do in the future that would help us. And then we had another training over at the transit building. And what that one was is this is something that most people don't realize. What do you do after the active shooter training? And so that presentation was put on, and school officials were invited there, healthcare officials, of course, the transit folks were invited there. And we actually talked about how do we come together as a community? What do we do after the incident? And that's something that rarely gets talked about. So I was very proud that that was able to be put on. And I'm going to bring up her name again. Jerry Portress asked me before this actually even happened, is there a way we can get the community involved? Can you have a training? It's happened before, but it's been a while. And so just to let you know, I think somewhere at the end of September or mid-October, we will have some training for our residents. It's going to be a little different than obviously we give the healthcare providers and some of those folks, but we are going to have that. Anything we can do to make our residents feel safer and to be able to respond should something like that happen. I am praying that it doesn't, but if it does, I want you to know that West Covina will be ready to respond. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yes. Thank you, Chief Bell, for that. And now a comment from Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
I just wanted to say thank you very much. It was well organized. It was intense. It was detailed. And I like the fact that they hit the before, during, and after incident. This does hit home to me because obviously, if those who know me, I've had shootings at my park, death in my own parking lot and front door, bullet holes and everything. So I greatly appreciate this because safety is a big concern. I did mention about having one for the community, so we're on the same page. But if I know they also threw out surprises. So I was there during that whole end of the grand finale event. And so I saw some unexpected things that they just throw at the officers or the people with the M9 right there next to me. And so they handled it. The officers handled it well. The fire handled it well. It was nice to know that some of the fire carries. And so they're just not there. The community and the kids that were there, it hits differently when it's actually simulated. So I just wanted to say thank you. It was well put together, organized, and I'm glad you involved the hospitals, the schools, the community, and made it as real as it could be. I mean, it did feel real. I mean, I've been in that situation, so it felt real as it can be, and our department, our city did a fabulous job, so thank you again for putting this together. That's it.
Thank you. Moving on to our next presentation, our Chief Capelli will be introducing and welcoming our 9 new fire recruits. Chief Capelli, to the mic, please.
Testing.
Good evening. Good evening. Before we start introducing our new firefighters, I want to echo what Council Member Ms. Lopez says, that it was a great team effort, and the police department did a great job of including us and us being part of the interoperable training. That I don't think that we've had that in depth of interoperable training with the hospitals, police department, fire department, schools, school districts to prepare for something that we hope never ever happens in our community. And I just wanted to echo thank you to the police department for including us and all of the fire department employees that participated and were instrumental in putting it together as well. So thank you. Good evening. As everybody knows, I'm Fire Chief Vince Capelli, council, staff, citizens. We're here tonight to just introduce our 9 new firefighters, or 7 new firefighters and 2 firefighter paramedics that will be working the streets for the next 12 months to do a bunch of tests and training and serve you every day that they're at work. And we just want to introduce you to the community publicly. I'm just going to go down the line and introduce each of their names so you guys can see them. and thank them for giving their oath to serve the community of West Covina. We have Tony Andrade, who's one of our new firefighters. Where are you stationed at? Station 3. Announce where you're stationed at. I don't know where they're all stationed. I can't remember where everybody's stationed. Luke Bundenson. Brianna Facundo. Naomi Forgay. Keith Lindsay. David McCarter. I'll look at them all. Oh, Garrett Sharber. Michael Seviano. And Tristan Traub. All right.
Welcome.
So all of these young folks put themselves through a fire academy, and then we interviewed them and tested them and put them through our own evaluation academy. They did roughly 6 weeks of intense training that probably should have took 10 weeks, and they successfully passed, and now they're on the floor, and they're working every day. I'd like to thank them and wish them good luck for the next 12 months.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you to the new recruits.
Chief Capel. Oh, quick question.
We got a question?
Are these the only 2 female firefighters we have in the whole department?
Yes, they are first. Chief. Yes, they are.
This is the first time ever.
We've had 2 female firefighters, yeah. So, yeah.
Wow, congratulations, ladies. I've kicked butt on the whole thing.
They all worked very hard to be where they're at today, all of them together, and they're a good team, and they're going to be successful
Chief,
together.
And would you mind, you know what, let's have the recruits line up in the middle. Why don't we get a photo with the council?
Sounds great. Council?
Sanitizer.
That's one.
Right.
Forgot to ask the chief if they're all from West Covina.
Councilwoman, did you have a question for the chief?
I was going to ask these new recruits.
Chief Capelli?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to ask. Chief Capelli? I was just going to ask, or maybe one of you know, out of all these new recruits, are they from West Covina, or are they lateral, or are they internal? No problem.
Yeah, sorry. Two of them are laterals. However, they did the whole training. Laterals usually don't have to do as much training as the rest, so what they opted to do training with the rest of their team. And I don't know exactly where all from. I think one grew up in the area, and the others are all with Southern California area.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
No other questions. Thank you. And so a couple of positive presentations. Before we move on to oral communications, we've got a little bit of sad news, a lot of sad news, actually. It's an adjournment for Don Lewis Holtz. He went to be with his Heavenly Father on August 7th of this year, surrounded by his family. Don was a loving and devoted husband, father, and papo who fought a long and arduous battle with cancer. He was born in Chicago, Illinois on October 25th, 1936. After high school, Don attended Michigan State University, and in 1956, he joined the U.S. Army's security agency as a teletype interceptor. He spent 3 years in the Army, with 2 of those years stationed in Japan. He married the love of his life, Sharon Bertram, on June 4th, 1960. Shortly after their marriage, they moved to California to pursue a career opportunity in L.A. Don and Sharon settled in West Covina, California, in 1974, where they raised their children, Lori and Guy. Don worked for Pacific Telephone for over 30 years before retiring as vice president of marketing. Don's West Covina police career started in 1973, where he worked in the patrol division. In 1974, he was promoted to the rank of reserve sergeant and promoted again to reserve lieutenant in 1979. Don took a break from service in 1983, only to return in 1995. Don's career included working in the Community Relations Division, where he taught the popular DARE program to elementary children in the West Covina Unified School District. Don was also a longtime member of the West Covina Planning Commission, and he actually served with me while I was on there. When he was home, Don was an avid golfer and Corvette fanatic. Both Don and Sharon were active members of the California Corvette Club, Elks Club, and he was a member of the Barn Boys and Hearst Ranch, and he will be missed. So we adjourn today's meeting in his honor. Now, moving on to oral communications. If anyone would like to address the council, please fill out a yellow speaker card and submit it to the Assistant City Clerk. Assistant City Clerk, how many speakers do we have tonight?
I have 5 speaker cards, Mayor.
Thank you.
Our first speaker is Valerie Munoz, followed by Herman, followed by Jonah Breslin.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor, Honorable Mayor, and City Council. I'm Mayor Pro Tem Valerie Munoz from the City of La Puente, but most importantly, I'm your representative on the San Gabriel Basin Water Quality Authority, representing cities with non-pumping rights. It's great to be here in person and see all of you guys face to face. It's been some time with the pandemic, so thank you for allowing me to speak. As your representative for the WQA, my pledge was to make sure that you were informed of the cleanup efforts in the San Gabriel Basin. I have handed to you a invitation for a water tour. We're starting to conduct those now that we're opening up. This is a 90-minute tour that that kind of just gives an overview of the cleanup efforts in the basin tours, so you can see an overview of what the basin looks like, as well as a actual operable unit. We usually go to the Baldwin Park. The WQA is a special district created by the state back in 1992, and the plans were to provide cleanup in the San Gabriel Valley. With approximately 1.4 million people specifically directly affected with the cleanup efforts, we do not sell water, we just clean it up. And we also keep responsible parties responsible with federal funding, so ensure that ratepayers are not affected by this, and so we take full responsibility of the funding of that as well. Also, what we have done this year, including through COVID, we've already secured over $50 million this year with the combination of Prop 1 and grants, as well as appropriations through the federal government. We always ask for support from council, and we're always looking to really engage with our council. Water is a huge issue in the community, especially during drought, so we want to make sure that you're informed. But support from cities, ensure that our message is all the way up to the state, to the capital. So when we do ask for those appropriations and fundings to continue with the cleanup efforts, we're able to have that support. Again, thank you so much. My personal phone number and information's on there, and I really hope to hear from you, and I will definitely be reaching out for coffee someday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Herman, followed by Jonah, followed by Jerry Patras.
So, I see that we have a Contractor State License Board Intake and Mediation Center. Why do we have this? Well, it's to resolve unlawful business practices by the city entity of West Covina under issues of the Brown Act violations, 54950 to 54963. Because, like the bureaucracy of just bullshit, we have too much. And that's the reason why I got a second letter from, thank you, George Gascon, regarding the issue of possible deceptive, unlawful business. An investigation of complaints on this kind is initially handled by the Contractor State License Board for the record. Isn't that nice? Seems like I got plenty of time to do this little extra research. And for the public should know, if you have any inquiries about Brown Act violations or meeting violations, contact 213-257-2475. This way, you will protect not your public right as a speaker, but you will protect your issues here in West Covina. Now, I say that because absolutely protected expression or protected speech is what I'm saying today. And the unfortunate sadness to all this, as you heard earlier about what the police and their so-called fake little presentation about crime and how to deal with it is, let's be honest, when shit happens, it's going to happen. God is going to come like a thief in the night and is going to rob each and every one of you that created problems against the public on my behalf. And I'm going to pray that God destroys the enemy of the United States for doing so when China comes and destroys America, because Tony Wu took a Marine 8 years ago to China. Why? Why are all these fucking people in our politics going to China and doing bad business for our behalf? Why? Why are we allowing this? Don't you see that dumb bitch, excuse the language, that dumb bitch Janice Hahn now has COVID? And these supervisors who continue to push vaccinations and boosters like the dumb 46th president's wife all have COVID. And look at my dumb ass. Look at me good. 15 years without a flu shot. No booster. And no goddamn COVID shot. Why? Because I wash my hands every day. I make sure I don't touch scumbags who politically take advantage of my neighbors, the Marines that are left with their families on the streets with no housing. And I'm going to read this politely into the record, and I hope it doesn't offend anyone. Snyder versus Phelps. Oh, God hates the USA. Thank God for 9/11. America is doomed. Don't pray for the USA. Thank God for IEDs. Thank God for dead soldiers. Pope in hell. Priests rape boys. God hates fags. And you're going to hell, and God hates you. So it's here. Snyder versus Phelps, everybody. It's First Amendment. It's protected speech. Why do they call this hate speech? Because they're in denial. People here are in denial, the same as Miss Letty Lopez doesn't wear her wedding ring anymore for whatever reasons, but it's none of my business, but it's noticeable. And she's losing weight, poor mommy. And Miss Rosario Diaz doesn't attend any of the transit foothill meetings anymore because she just shows up to eat and leaves. What the fuck? What the fuck? Free food? Yeah, I'd show up too. Now, as far as Dario, sorry case, I have nothing other than say that, yeah, you are bald. Sorry about that, Mayor.
I like it. Thank you.
Good. And as far as Tony Wu, political criminal, always has something to say, and it's all bullshit. You ever hear him rat on and on and on? He sounds so fucking ridiculous. He almost sounds like me, a ranting lunatic. And as far as Brian's a good guy. Why I say that? Because Brian usually has to defend himself against the pro temp's husband or boyfriend that constantly threatens him. That's fucked up. Thank you. Here you go. I'm submitting these into the record. Burn the Brown Act.
Jonah Breslew, Jerry Patras, and John Shoemaker.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name's Jonah Breslau. I'm here on behalf of Unite Here Local 11, the Hospitality Workers Union here in Southern California. We represent about 32,000 workers. in the hotels and stadiums and restaurants throughout the region. And we have over 100 members who live here in West Covina. And I wanted to speak to you about item 2. Our members have a deep interest in the sale of public land, land that belongs to the taxpayers, especially when it comes to projects in the hospitality industry that we know so well. And so when we see hotel projects on public land, we want to make sure that they benefit all the taxpayers and the residents and our members in particular. And so we believe, in general, that cities should maintain public lands in public hands and pursue long-term revenue-based leases rather than sales, which give cities more ability to control the long-term uses of the site, more ability to negotiate for public benefits. And so I just wanted to know, has the city considered holding on to this land and pursuing a lease? So thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you.
Jerry Patras, John Shoemaker.
Good evening. Tonight I'm going to just comment on agenda item 2, sale of the city yard. It is a concern to me. First, the council is selling the city yard, publicly owned property, without giving a reason to the residents. Second, the council has adopted a practice of selling major property assets to pay for operations, a primary marker for bankruptcy in most people's minds. Third, the council has shown no inclination to control overspending, so money gained from the property sales will be quickly spent requiring further property sales in a downward spiral. Fourth, the council can't wait to convert our beautiful, warm suburban city into a dense, cold, urban city that the residents really don't want. Last, and perhaps most important of all, the council dismisses residents' viewpoints. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Shoemaker.
You know, I really need something that explains when you guys say something what it really means. Here's an example. Reserves are over $24 million, a 20-year best. Well, I remember Fred Sykes sitting right where you are, Councilmember Wu, and asking the question, if we have $29 million in reserves, why are we borrowing money? And he was here from 2011 to 2015. That strikes me as, again, maybe I don't understand mathematics, but last time I checked, 29 was higher than 20 or 24. Then I go back farther, and I remember when people like Kathy Howard were here and Ben Wong were here and things like that. It was in the 50s, reserves. Now, have I missed something since I graduated from school that 50 is lower than 24? You know, I'd just like to know. Let's see. Added 10 additional police officers, making our police force 100 strong. Wow. Pat yourself on the back for being exactly where we were 6 years ago. Exactly where we were 6 years ago. And of course, that's not assuming anybody's quit recently, which happens all the time. Transferred, retired, or whatever the case may be. Welcome new businesses. I'm not quite sure how much you had to do with some of these. Cortez, it opened while you were here. They'd started talking to us before you were even on the council. Supermarkets, Sprouts, wow, you recruited them. Can you show us when you went there? Knocked on their door and said, come to our city? You know, but I notice you don't say things like, well, during my term, Nissan left. I stopped Enterprise from coming in. The light and fixture store on Azusa is leaving. You know, we can just keep going through the businesses that have left. Finances improved. Current operating budget surplus. Well, I was told the same thing in 19 and 20, when it was about a $16 million loss when it came down to page 8 of the combined annual financial report shows that. And page 8 the following year for 2021 shows an additional $8 or $9 million loss. Again, you know. And by the way, are we going to get the financial statements before next March? You know, if you know that's the truth, why aren't you publishing them now? That Verizon News, number one business friendly, reminds me that when I worked in the software industry, we were given an award by a large corporation for the great customer service we gave to our people. And I asked the CEO of the company, how do we get the award? He goes, we applied for it and paid the fee. It was kind of like all the years that we were getting awards for our financial statements, that the controller and the auditor said, we're wrong. Award-winning statements. Look how good we are. State controller, state auditor go, no, you're not. So, you know, I just look at this and I kind of go, wow. Is there anything you won't take? Oh, that's right. The only thing you'll take credit for is something that can be construed as positive, but nothing that you've done that's negative. You know? Try to be honest. Or is this your definition of honest so I can put it in my, you know, in that dictionary I can publish so when you say something we know what you're referring to. No, by the way, none of the criticism, as you've said to people, has anything to do with your ethnic background, Tony. It's your lack of making fundamental sound decisions. That's simple. So we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Steve Bennett.
Evening, Council. Been a few meetings. Good to see you all again. So tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about the sale of the city yard. And my concern with that kind of goes along with what Ms. Patra said earlier. First of all, I don't like the idea of selling the land. Not right now, not through the right process. I'm not necessarily in favor of turning it into a hotel. I know Tony has a fascination with hotels, whether it be on a dump or at the city yard, I don't know. But my bigger concern is not so much the sale of the land at this point. It's we have several facilities there that are going to be displaced. We have our city yard, which is the predominant piece. We have a fire station, which I know has been condemned and a new one needs to be constructed, and various other facilities at this location. The problem that I have with it is I don't believe I've seen anything come through as to where all of those facilities are being relocated. So what we're basically doing is taking somebody, we'll take it as like if living in a house, Tony understands homes. It's like me selling my house and not knowing where I'm moving to, right? I'm going to sell my house, I'm going to make a whole bunch of money, but I'm going to live out of my car for 3 months or 6 months or a year. Doesn't make much sense, right? Logic. So the question is, and if I'm wrong, then share with me where I can find the answer, but I don't believe we've had any discussion as a council, as a community, about where the fire station's going. I don't believe we have a study that's been publicized about response times. I don't believe we've had a discussion to where the maintenance yard is moving to. I think consensus says that it's going to the sportsplex because that's the new magic land piece that the city seems to think they can do whatever they want with. Well, driving a bunch of city trucks in and out of there is not necessarily what I see as conducive to having sports teams and young kids playing at a sportsplex, which is the other vision that I hear for the place. It doesn't have a big enough city yard to do everything we want to do based on everything I've seen and to house all of the equipment that we need. So I don't believe that that is a viable option. But if it is, if that is the direction that the city is trying to go, share that with us. If it's been shared, show me where I can find it. But the key is, I don't believe it has. So I'm more concerned about transparency. The open willingness to discuss what the intent is to move these facilities. Is the city yard too big? Does it need to be cut down? Does some of the land need to be sold? Maybe. But we have a bigger issue in knowing where those facilities are being relocated to. I'm not going to move out of my house into my car to turn a buck. That's what we're doing. So either the city has a plan nobody knows about, which is a systematic problem, I believe, in some of this, or we have no plan, which I also believe is sometimes systematic in the city. So the question is, what are we doing? Be upfront before you vote to sell something and can't undo something before we have plans. And be upfront with the residents as to what those plans are. And again, if I'm wrong, point me to where I can find the answer. And I will be more than happy to come back up in here and say I was wrong. But I don't believe it's been out. Thank you, guys.
Bill Robinson. Yes.
Welcome.
Go ahead.
Good evening. The main message tonight during these COVID times and the martial law we've experienced the last 2 years, some people call it, COVID-19, the clot shot, and experimental DNA editing. You know, when your DNA gets edited improperly, it's called cancer, and it's not good. I don't know why people are lining up to get an experimental gene therapy. So my main message is don't live in fear. There's nothing new under the sun. This moment, this month, this decade has not produced anything new. This has been a learning experience, an awakening opportunity for all of us. Before COVID, we're all surrounded by trillions and trillions of germs. Every day, every moment, every location. You can't escape them ever. Did we worry in the past? No. Did we wear masks in the past? No. Did we socially distance in the past? I'm not a doctor, but I read somewhere that the human body, all of our human bodies, we have more bacteria cells in our human bodies than we have human cells. I mean, imagine a coral reef. We're all coral reefs, and the media, I know why, it's controlled by Big Pharma, has conditioned us all to be afraid. It's just reality. It's always been reality, and nothing has changed. The CDC and the FDA, they don't protect public health. Those agencies ought to be abolished. They're puppets for the industry. Doctors are trained like monkeys in medical school to be shills for the pharmaceutical industry. Now, I don't blame doctors. They're good at doing what they're told. Fauci tells them to practice medicine or you'll get in trouble. Push the shots on your patients. And then hospitals are incentivized to follow procedures so they make more money. So I don't blame doctors for being shills for the pharmaceutical industry. Heck, our Congress are shills for the industry too. What we've suffered in the last 2 years, bad leadership at all levels of government. You know, from the feds all the way down to the city. It's just bad leadership. There's going to be an election in November. I'm hoping 80% of the office holders get sent walking papers by the voters. There's probably 10 or, but they're all shills for the industry. It's Mussolini called it corporatism. Some people call it fascism, but we, the people, haven't been represented by anyone for a long, long, long time. So we've reached the point in current history where we're about to experience the pandemic of the vaccinated. The right, the medium and the long-term effects, they call it antibody-dependent enhancement. We're all the guinea pigs, so the guinea pigs, the medium and long-term effects are about ready to appear. That's the pandemic of the vaccinated. I've only got 22 seconds left. Shit. Well, I said that, I guess I'll just
be
do
continued.
it next time, yeah.
Thank you, Bill, as always.
Freedom of speech, yeah.
Do we have any more speaker cards?
No further speaker cards, Mayor.
Thank you. City Manager, would you please respond to public comment concerns?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council, members of the public. I'll try to briefly respond to some of the comments and suggestions that were made this evening. I'd like to begin by thanking Mayor Pro Tem Councilmember Valerie Munoz for her ongoing work on behalf of water cleanup efforts. I know it's a major issue in this community and in some of the other disadvantaged communities in this region. So thank you for your ongoing work there. Mr. Armando Herman was encouraging us to follow state law, the Ralph M. Brown Act, which is state law and something that we take very seriously. We would welcome any suggestions or corrections if he sees the need for any. I'm not aware. Three of our speakers tonight, Jonah Breslow, Jerry Poultras, and Steve Bennett, all expressed viewpoints about the real property transaction, which is on your agenda tonight. This is really one of the first steps in a process wherein the city is considering the future of that site and the future of its facilities and the need for those. This is just the beginning in terms of establishing what the business terms would be for a sale of that land to a developer. There's a lot of work ahead and a lot of things to figure out, and we know that. But this would just set the stage. In writing, it defines the terms of that purchase, what deposit would be made, and outlines a process for good faith negotiations. When there are specifics to report, we will return publicly with those. Mr. Shoemaker talked about reserves. Our finances are audited annually. I think the city has turned the corner with those. I think the city's doing much better than it was even just 3 short years ago. We've built up the cash reserve. We're no longer in the same posture we were. We're in a much better place today. And finally, Mr. Robinson again encouraged us to build a healthy community. That's something we're working hard to do. It's no easy task. I know our city is keenly interested in improving health equity and access to care. It seems to be at the core of what we're trying to do with the creation of a new health department. And I think that's all I've got this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, Dave. And now for your city manager's report.
I do have just a brief report. Starting with a reminder that tomorrow we're going to have a ribbon cutting for a new playground at Cortez Park. This one will be open to the kids, to the public, starting at 9:30. We're going to cut a ribbon to really celebrate this as a moment. The project was delayed during the course of construction. We had an arsonist light a fire, a lot of the stuff that was stored in a pod there, but the contractor worked through his insurance issues and got back underway, and Assistant City Manager Larimer and I were out there yesterday. I think you'll really like it. We're really happy with it. Next slide. I wanted to mention a town hall meeting upcoming about transit services. This Thursday, the 18th at 6:30 p.m., we're going to do a virtual meeting by Zoom, and we're trying to assess the needs and the desires of the public for what the future of transit will be. The former system of running fixed route buses with nobody on them, I think, we need to do a little better than that, and that's what we're trying to research with the public in our town hall meeting. We encourage people to be a part of that. Next slide. I wanted to invite the public to come to our State of the City Resilient West Covina, Thursday, September 15th. Please mark your calendars up at the Sportsplex, 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. We think it'll be a very positive night. I know last year's was a very special evening, so I would encourage people to come if they are able. I also wanted to encourage people to mark their calendars for a health fair coming up. We've been working with Dr. Basil on a number of different tests at no cost and low cost to be available to the public to help people with public health screenings and testings. We want to improve access to health care, so we invite people to come on the 9th to take advantage of what Dr. Basil has putting together for us. And lastly, I just wanted to highlight some election dates. The period for nominations closed last Friday. We did have one incumbent not file. Mayor, we're going to miss having you on our council. But that does extend by 5 business days the right of people in your district to also put in papers if they wish to. Some of these other dates of the election are fast approaching. Vote by mail begins October the 10th, and Election Day is November the 8th. And that's all I've got this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. Moving right along to the consent calendar. We've got 11 items on consent today. Would anybody like to pull any?
Yes. Oh.
Go
I'd like
ahead.
to pull 4.
Okay, we got 4 being pulled. 4 and 5.
2.
2, 4, and 5. I'll be pulling 10, and Councilman Wu, you're good. Okay, so 2, 4, 5, and 10 will be pulled. So do I have a motion to approve all except 2, 4, 5, and 10?
I'll move the motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Excuse me, who made the motion?
1 and 2. Right?
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Diaz, second by Councilwoman Lopez Viado. Councilmember Tabatabai?
Aye.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Diaz?
Aye.
Mayor Castellanos?
Aye. Those items pass 5-0. So moving on to item number 2, it's the city yard item. Brian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. So I had some concerns about the moving forward with the ENA with Envision. First, from my understanding of the Surplus Land Act, affordable housing is a key component, and from what I understood, there's a 25% guideline, and this only has a 15% affordable unit proposal. Now, I understand from speaking with staff the number of units that would be affordable was comparable, but I think a major issue is the other 3, Olson Company, City Ventures, and Meritage Homes, when they submitted their proposals, it was at lower density. Envision, their proposal was beyond the density that the city had originally intended. And so I guess my question is a process question. First off, those other 3 entities, were they given an opportunity to also pursue a proposal at the density level that Envision?
Through the chair, this agenda item concerns consideration of a letting of a exclusive negotiation agreement for the city yard project site. I'm going to ask our assistant city manager to answer council members' questions.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, Mayor and fellow council members. So through the city did go through the Surplus Land Act as required to dispose of the city-owned property. And through that process, there was a requirement for a certain percentage of units that needed to be affordable. We did speak with all of those developers that did submit proposals, and we did provide them updates on what the city was looking for on that site. So they did all have an opportunity to revise their proposals to better match or provide as close as they could a proposal that met the goals of the city.
Right. And so my understanding though is the other proposals had met the 25% affordable unit threshold.
Not all of them, no.
No, but several of them did.
Several of them did, yeah.
Right. And I think my concern is that this proposal was made at a much higher density than what the city put out, and so they're wanting to again build at much higher density with a lower percentage of affordable units than what the Surplus Land Act would like to see. And well, so my question is, the other proposals had 25% or above for affordable units.
Not all of them, but several of them did.
Several of them did. Right. This does not. And so I guess my concern is that the city is selling the surplus land at the lower affordable unit percentage, and then others proposed to build.
Well, so first of all, in the notice of availability through the Surplus Land Act, there was not a specific requirement or number of housing units that we were looking for,
right,
nor density was included. There were proposals that were submitted.
Now, does the city have an ordinance with the level of density that it allows?
There currently is zoning that does limit it.
Right, and so this proposal is above that, yes?
I believe some of the other ones were as well above the allowed zoning current zoning.
Okay. I think the other concern that I have is the Envision Hotel Partners. I was unable to see any history of them doing this type of development. Do we have a record of them doing a large scale development like this?
That is something I would have to verify with the developer. Okay.
So that's a major concern, that this is a huge, obviously 8.27 acres of city land. It's asking for the building of a new fire station. It's really changing the makeup of the city with the development they're proposing. And this is a developer that doesn't have a history of doing any kind of project like this. And so that's a major concern. And I am concerned that the city is going forward with an E&A with a company that doesn't have a reputation of doing this type of project.
I did want to mention, the percentage is lower for Envision. It is at 15%, where others, the highest that we had was 28%. Even the highest percentage for affordable units at 28 produced 50 affordable units.
At lower density.
At a lower density, Envision will be providing 60 units.
At a much higher density.
At a higher density, and they will.
Much higher density.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to, and in transparency, we just want to make this very clear. Because again, when we're going through a process, we talk about fairness, And so if developers are going to, in good faith, make proposals to the city, we would hope that they're all under the same guidelines and they're all playing by the same rules. And so I just have concerns that this proposal didn't follow the same processes or was under the same rules as the other three proposals. That's a concern of mine. Okay, thank you.
Councilman Wu.
Okay, I think we all went through the RFP. We have a couple of developers provide all this proposal, and this is a preliminary. This is the beginning. Okay, and then I think based on the envision, they provide the highest. Okay, almost $30 million on their property. I think that will help us a lot to build a fire station. Okay, and then they will help us regarding and move some of they even pay for moving our city yard, including this $30 million. And again, this is just a preliminary ENA. So what they can build, what they cannot build, still have to go to the CEQA, still have to go to the zoning, still have to go to everything. Right now, yesterday, and then the government, federal government, come out. The number right now, the new home dropped about how many percent? 20% because of high interest rate. So a lot of builders already give up their project. And we hope, all the developing West Covina will continue to build rather than they get discouraged. And I think this is one thing. As a city, we're in charge of a city budget. We want to make sure the city have this opportunity and don't miss the opportunity by some of the issue because everything has to go to the CEQA, zoning, and the planning, and everything, and then finally it has to come to the city to approve. And then before that, they still have to go to the community outreach, talk to the people what they like. So this is a long process, but we don't want to give up this process. And plus, based on the state guideline, RENA requirement, we have to, by 2007, we had to build 5,346 homes. How can we build 5,346 homes if we don't allow builder to come in the downtown to build something that can help us to qualify by this request from the state? And that we have this housing crunch. So we want to give all the opportunity, not a limby, and to let the developer come to our city. Now we welcome them. And to at least do a try, and they have to spend all the money to do a design, to do everything, and then still have to be approved by us. So I think this is important to at least give them a chance. Regarding Envision background, I checked them already. They own 19 hotels. They are big developer and building. I don't know why you didn't check. I researched them. They are pretty huge. So in that way, the risk is theirs. They have to pay the money for everything, design, and still have to certify by the city and by all the residents. And let the ball rolling. Let's start this thing. And regarding the requirement of affordable housing, I think they have to comply with the state guideline regarding the Surplus Land Act. Otherwise, they cannot build. So why are we so worried about, again, we got an opportunity. We get the highest bid, almost $30 million with the 8-acre lot. Hopefully they can build something beautiful for us. So I'm all for it. I think this is something we cannot pass.
Councilman Tabatabai.
Thank you, Mayor. Just in response, I think a couple points that Councilman Wu brought up. I think that is one of the reasons I have the concern, right? You have, Envision that does not have a history of building these projects during a time where these projects are going to become more difficult to build. There's time that gets wasted when you go with a developer that doesn't have the experience and has not done these types of developments before. And so it's not only a waste of the city's time, but it's a waste of an opportunity. And so, so one, that's a major concern of mine. As far as, doing research on Envision, yes, they own 20 hotels. That does not mean they've developed a major, 300 unit property with retail and built up the hotel. Purchasing a hotel for ownership is different than ground up building your own hotel and marking it as yours. And so that's a major concern. I think the other concern though is our processes. Right, so we went ahead. We had these developers bid, and then this outsider comes in with a much higher density than the city has outlined, and so again that's right, and so again, I think when we're just looking at a number and saying, well, they offered more money. And so this is who we're going to go, and it's the early process. No, you don't waste the time, and I'm concerned that going with this company that doesn't have the reputation for doing this is a waste of city resource.
Understood.
Thank
So
you.
You're concerned about capabilities and density. I get your concern. I think. As I mentioned before, and Councilman Wu did, RENA, the state RENA numbers are critical. I mean, and as I see it, if Envision wants to take on a risk, that's the free market, caveat emptor. They've got the financial backing. So understand your point. You're concerned about the risk they're taking, but I think they seem to be a very capable company that could figure things out. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think, Mayor, thank you. Just the last point is, again, going back to the process. We're talking about we're talking about they're taking on this risk. If the other developers were under the same rules, that's part of the issue. They also would have taken on this risk, and I feel that the process wasn't fair and equitable, and that's another concern of mine.
And to that point, I'd like to ask our city attorney: is there anything about the process that drew your attention or that concerned you?
No, we comply with the Surplus Lands Act. I think we brought it to council each time in closed session and discussed it, negotiated in good faith. It did initially start at 25%. We could not reach an agreement, and I believe we reported out, or council took action maybe 2 meetings ago, reported out that we were moving to enter into an ENA, and we would agendize that in the future. State law requires 15%, which we are complying with, which is 10 more units than what we would have had under the 25%. But nothing concerns me right now. We will send a report to HCD outlining these negotiations and letting the council know where we are now.
Thank you. Councilman Wu?
Quickly, I think we want housing, but we want service. We want, and some entertainment, some service, so people living in that neighborhood, not living in the jungle of housing. And the point is this: when you do a city planning, you want to see this downtown plan. Are you going to have a bunch of residential and townhouse and condo? But where they shop, where they entertain, where's a restaurant? So the idea is what we think, or the building that corner can be some entertainment that people living in Cameron 57, or Cameron 84, and maybe even Vincent Home, not too far away, all can be there, and especially from the hospital, the expansion is huge, so they're going to have another nurses and doctor, and the employee, they can just walk over there and go to a restaurant, go to maybe they have a after-hour bar, cafe, something we need on that corner provide service. If anything, just housing, then they have to drive. They have to drive to some other places. So hopefully we can give this plan that they can provide some entertainment for the city, for the resident moving also new home, and they're willing to move in West Covina. Okay, at the same time, they can just come down, okay, and go to the area and enjoy their walk. At the same time, provide service for the hospital right over there. And then that entire street on Sunset, that basically is a lot of medical facility, including Queensville Valley. So I think that is a necessity in that area to kind of force the builder to build some kind of service, okay, for that neighborhood, for that area. So hopefully, okay, they don't have to come out with all these 200-300 home. They can just shop in that local area and don't have to drive. I think this is what the state wants us to do, and we try to do the best for people to stay in their neighborhood and shop there locally. Okay, anyway, I want to move the motion to approve.
I'll second it, but I want to say something. One of the things that I've noticed and I've been hearing a lot of is a lot of traveling nurses. And so if we have this hotel there and we have this growing hospital that's being built there, I think that would be a great facility for them, because that's becoming very popular, where you have a lot of traveling nurses. They travel all over the United States, wherever they're needed. So I think it's a positive thing.
I want to add on, when people talk about, Tony, why you always emphasize the hotel? The hotel give a TOT tax, transit occupancy tax. That is 10 to 15%, 100% city keep. And that money, millions of dollars, the city can use for a lot of program. And at the same time, the hotel can bring a lot of, other business coming in, create job, and create attraction. And that's why West Covina needs some attraction. We don't even have a nice hotel. We have a bunch of motel or maybe some hotel at the north side. But in this area, we have nothing. So hopefully, with this expansion of Queensville Valley, all these doctors, nurses, and traveling, these pharmacists, they can have a place to stay. Last thing. The City of Hope, they are planning to build 2 or 3 hotels next to their hospital, because the patient of their family, they need a place to stay. So this same thing, this is have a demand over there. That's why we want to create a demand rather than a bunch of residential, and they have no place to entertain. So this is, you have to see entire pictures, and from there and connect to our downtown. This is all what the downtown plan is about. So anyway, I think this is something we need to make sure we have a chance to look into it, and that will provide a service and provide a landscape for our city, provide service. So I think this is a very good project. I'm glad they are willing to spend, $100 million into the city, and it will create a lot of job, a lot of fee, a lot of income to the city. So I think this is a good thing. We need to just be bold and to take the opportunity. Don't let it slip away.
Thank you. We have a first and a second. Can we have roll call, please?
Motion by Councilman Wu, second by Mayor Pro Tem Diaz. Councilmember Atabai?
Before I vote, just have a comment, since we're making comments. I think one of the major concerns when we're bringing up is the affordable housing, and if you were really concerned about nurses and those type of employees being able to live in the city, then we do need to provide more than 15% of affordable housing. I think the other thing is, when we mention places like City of Hope, or we mention places like Cedars-Sinai, those are destination hospitals. Queen of the Valley is a residential hospital. It is not a destination. And so my concern, and the reason why we don't have a major hotel is, does the city have the capacity, or are we just building a project room key? And that's really another major concern of mine. Again, especially when we're moving forward with a developer that has no experience in this. Okay, so I vote no. Thank you.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Diaz?
Aye.
Mayor Castellanos?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 4. This is the Housing, Preservation Program, revisions to guidelines for increase in maximum loan amount, addition of eligible improvements, and elimination of interest rate. Councilwoman Lopez Viado, the floor is yours.
Who will answer my questions on you will? Okay. So I just wanted to confirm, I know originally the maximum loan was $10,000 and it is up. So the maximum new amount is $25,000, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then it will be back to 0% interest rate for both of the programs, correct?
That's correct. This item returns to council at your direction. You thought the previous limits were too low. You wanted us to afford greater access by program participants. And so we're seeking your ratification of these new guidelines. If you've got some adjustments to them, we would welcome that this evening as well.
No, that's perfect. I mean, with cost of inflation, and then I'm reading the report that doing projects to, like air conditioning, the basic requirements to be comfortable in a home for people who can't afford is needed. And, based on this, they took out this loan, but of course the cost was much more than what was given. So obviously taking away the hardship from the residents is very helpful. Now, I didn't quite understand is how long in regards to repayment. So that one...
I'm going to ask our Assistant City Manager to go into those terms.
Clarification. Thank you.
Good evening again. So the term of the loan remains at 30 years. As you can see, currently it's $10,000 with a 5% interest rate, and it's 10 years that is deferred. So there's no interest charge, no payment charge the first 10 years. Because we are increasing it to 25 in the proposed new guidelines, we reduce that deferral period from 10 years to 5 years to keep that monthly payment when they start repaying it after year 5 low. So right now, under the current terms, if they take out a full loan of $10,000, it comes out to $66 a month. The new proposed loans, it'll go up to $83 for the $25,000 over a repayment of 25 years.
Wait, so they're repaying, or the old plan, how it was before, was that once they took out this loan, they didn't have to pay until they sold their home or they refinance. So is that no longer the situation? I'm just concerned about...
No, that's fine. Over the years, the city's had multiple housing loan programs. The one that you're referring to was the HILP, or the Housing Improvement Loan Program, which is different than the HPP, which is the one before you tonight. So the HILP program was also a $10,000 loan, and there was no repayment provisions on it unless, as you mentioned, this home was sold, the homeowner passed away, they refinanced the home, a couple other triggers. But so the HPP was for a different income bracket, and that's why there was a repayment provisions under this program.
So we currently still have the HILP?
The HILP, no, we don't fund that program right now. So we only maintain monitor existing loans or former loans that were provided out to homeowners.
So this is just the HPP, and the loan payment is 25 years, you said?
Correct. It's a 30-year loan with a 25-year proposal. The proposed new guidelines will be 25-year repayment period.
So when do they start making payments?
After year 5.
Okay, and that's a 0% interest rate, though, right?
Correct, 0% interest.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted that clarification.
Councilman Wu?
Yeah, I just want to follow up some of the question. Okay, and how much money we have to give away for this loan? So basically, we're talking about $25,000 with zero interest, and after 5 years, they're starting paying the zero interest, pay back monthly for 25 years loan. Mm-hmm. So roughly some $70, $80 a month, roughly.
It'll be around $83 here. I can pull
so $83 a month after 5 years for 25 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, with principal only reduction for the pay off the $30,000. Mm-hmm. So the question will be: okay, who can be qualified? So who can apply? Mm-hmm. How to apply? How can we promote this? Okay, who is qualified? And how much money we can give up, 50 resident, 100 resident, Okay, how many? So those questions, I think residents want to know because we have a lot of old home. Okay, if we have so many old home, and then a lot of home doesn't have air conditioning, doesn't have insulation, doesn't have a double panel window, so possible we can use this money to help them to upgrade, update their living standards. Okay, so something that is important for a lot of fixed income senior resident, they can use this money to kind of help their living situation. So can you answer those questions, please?
Let's see if I remember all your questions. So
how much we have, the first question, how much we can give out this year?
Currently,
they have a limitation. Can we, I remember every year we have accumulate. Can they be accumulate for so many years, or we only have a year by year?
We have accumulated in the past couple of years, so we have a balance of $341,000 in Cdbg funds, and we have $375 in low mod housing funds. We do have two various funding sources, and to qualify, the homeowner has to have been a homeowner in West Covina for the last 12 months, and it is income based. So it's based on the two funding sources. The income levels vary. So we do that internally. We don't put that on the burden of the applicant. We internally see where we can qualify the applicant, the homeowner. And then there's a list of eligible improvements that they can use the funds for. Part of that is Cdbg limits the type of improvements that the funding can go towards. And so we do that on the back end, and that's one of the things that we're looking to increase is the eligible list of improvements to include AC.
Paulina, okay. Last time I asked Kelly, he told me we have $1 million for the home improvement or for conservation for the property to kind of we can do it. So why you say we only have $350,000? Kelly's over there, so
I do.
Yeah.
So every year we do the Cdbg action plan, and that's when council allocates the Cdbg funds. Because we've currently had a balance of 341, we have not added funds to it.
Kelly, would you please come up, because I think I done this number 6 or 7 times, and every year I ask you is about home improvement, right? It's like my big white whale I'm chasing, so that people can be using that fund to improve their home. So I remember last time, okay, I don't know, last year, you told me we maybe have we have about $1 million. No,
we have $1 million in the CDBG program that we allocated amongst programs. There's $340,000 in CDBG.
So now the question: if we don't use it, we don't have so many people apply. Can we accumulate money for the next year? So, for example, last year we only have 2 people apply, so we still have maybe $300,000.
Correct.
Can we accumulate that money for the years to go?
Well, we rolled the money forward. The unexpended balance from last year is the funding for the current year. So yeah, the 341 is what's available.
Got it. So if we don't use it, this money will be used by other program.
If that potentially, we put that in the action plan, and it's a council decision whether or not to do that.
I'm kind of confused because I don't think last year how many people apply? How many people use this CDBG fund? We only have $10,000. So how many people really got this this program?
I don't believe that there was a loan.
They don't have none. So in that way, so last year if we have $350,000, this money can accumulate to this year.
Yes, we have been rolling it over.
And roll over.
So that's where we have the balance of the 340. It's been a rollover of several years, that unused funds. Part of the reason, too, is we normally average 10 to 15 home loans a year between the 2 funding sources. One of the comments that we get back from residents as to why they don't follow through in obtaining a loan is because the cost of the improvements exceeds the $10,000 and they don't have the money to cover the difference.
So question would be
list of eligible improvements. 2019,
2020, 2021, do we have any accumulation into our currently our fund? Sound like we only have $350,000. It's no different than last year. And how about previous year? Do they have any leftover fund we can accumulate? Sound like yes.
That is the accumulation. We haven't appropriated any additional new money. That's a rollover balance.
So basically, right now we only have how much money we can use?
341,000 plus 375,000 from low mod housing funds.
So basically $720,000.
Yeah, so that's something that in the next action plan through CDBG, we can ask for relocation of money towards that program.
So we can use 320,000. Okay, and if we are, is $25,000 enough for people to?
That would be roughly 13 loans in CDBG and 15 in low mod housing for this year.
Okay, because right now everything is so expensive. Okay, I don't know the $25,000 can help people to improve their air condition.
So one of the things, as I was trying to mention, is that one of the biggest complaints is that it's not enough funding. Or the loan is not enough to cover improvements. I think ACs, range 15,000, 20,000. So the 25,000 would be sufficient to cover that for the homeowners.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about increase to 30,000. But if we only have a 720,000, it's not too many homeowners can get this program to fix their home.
And then you mentioned promotion. So the other thing too, it's going to be in the Discover that's going to be going out in September. We have that guidelines in there. It's also on our website. We're also going to do social media posts. So we'll share it with our code enforcement officers are aware of the program. So when they go to homes, they see that it's an option for the homeowner because these loans can go towards code enforcement violations.
You can help them to maybe update their home because some of the homeowners are really struggling.
Yeah.
So maybe we can use this money to help them make the house livable. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so in that way, last question, how many homeowners applied this program last year, 2021, 2020, and 2021? Do you have a record?
I think it's 10 to 15. I can get you the exact number.
Are you sure we have 10 to 15 people to apply?
That's our average every year.
Average every year?
Between CDBG and low mod housing in the two loan funding.
So based on current, if we 25,000, okay, and then we have 720,000. So how many home we can, 15?
So for the funds that we have now, 13 loans in CDBG and 15 low and mod.
Huh?
13 on the top 100.
So we have funding through CDBG for 13 loans and funding for 15 loans in low mod.
So we can up to 28 home.
Yes. So that's roughly
at full capacity. So we can give the first come, first serve for 28, but they have two program. One is low income.
It's different income levels because it's different funding sources, so they refer to different. But that's on the burden of staff. The applicant submits.
But you need to give us some guideline who can be qualified.
So they have to be a homeowner in West Covina for at least 12 months.
Okay.
They have to meet the income guidelines.
What kind of income guideline? Can you roughly tell us?
It's based on the household. I can pull it up. Hold on. Sorry.
Because a lot of people really wondering about who can be qualified so they can use this funding to fix their home.
So here's the maximum income guidelines for 2022. So a family of four, they can make no more than $95,300.
$95,000 a year for a family of four. But if family of two, then you cut down the income.
So it'd be $76,250.
That's still pretty decent income. Okay, got it. So meaning quite a lot of homeowners in West Covina, they can apply this loan. Are we going to reserve this for maybe senior or low income for priority to apply rather than some people have a good income?
Well, they have to be income based, so they cannot exceed. They cannot qualify for the loan if they exceed these income levels.
I understand, but can we kind of help the people really in need, like a senior or low income people? Can we do that? No, we cannot do it.
That's what the intent of this goal, or the program is.
So let the senior to have a chance to
seniors seniors can apply. We do get a lot of senior citizens in our community that apply and qualify for the loan.
Because $90,000 or $76,000, it sounds like quite a lot of people in West Covina that qualify in this. But how about the senior and the low income?
They just have to. The age doesn't matter. So it could be seniors that can qualify. It could be families.
Okay, I yield my time. I give some other people to ask.
Kelly, would you mind staying up here, please? Give me a moment. Just a question about if we exhaust the funds completely this year, does that put us in a better position to ask the feds for more for the next cycle, or not necessarily?
No. It's just all census based.
Census based. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was different. You mentioned last time from the regular census, right?
Previous, yes.
What was when? What's
the American Community Survey?
Okay.
It's an annual census.
Thank you. And Councilman Tabatway.
Just in terms of outreach, I know that we're going to be doing that health fair in October. That a lot of low income people of need will be attending that. I think this would be a great time to have a booth where we are really promoting this program, so that way people can see that it's there, and it's going to be really a lot of those community members that would meet the criteria. And so I think that would be a great way to outreach if we can do that.
Definitely do that.
Councilman Wu.
Okay, really quick. Can we put some guideline for priority for senior or low income? Can we? Okay, because $90,000 or $76,000 for 2 person is still they have a income. An average LA County household is about $72,000.
These are
So my point is, we want to give to this funding zero interest to people really need. Okay, like for example, senior or low income.
So do you want to lower the ceiling?
Can we lower the ceiling for people? They like senior. They are basically based on their the retirement fund, the Social Security. Okay, let those people need help. Okay, and rather than people already have an income, they should just pay. Okay, and so that's my concern. Because we only have 28 slot.
So these are the maximum income limits that a household can make. They can make a lot less.
I understand, but my point is, somebody is like $90,000. They qualify to apply. So, but the person much lower income, maybe they miss the boat. So again, it's my concern. Okay.
I think what Councilman Wu is talking about, because back in the days when they offered this with the HIOP, they had 2 programs. One program was for low income, and then the other one was for moderate income, which is this amount. And then the low income, but of course they had two separate regulations and everything like that. So in reference to that, those who are really dire at need, we wanted to make sure that they qualify and they get their items. But if they're moderate, of course, education, how the process to go through all this is a big difference as well. But I just, in reference to that, of like 2 base, but I don't know if you hit high applications or what their income level is.
Good
evening, Mayor, City Council members. Gerardo Rojas, I coordinate the program. At the moment, we really don't have that issue where we have specific requirements or that we need to separate it just by the sheer number of applications that we're receiving. I could honestly tell you that we don't have that issue right now.
The reason you don't have the issue because a lot of people don't know we have that program. Okay, and because I talk to a lot of senior, okay, they don't know that we have this program. We need to help them to apply. Okay, so that's the issue for people a little bit more savvy. They maybe take advantage of this program for $25,000 with zero interest. Okay, and so that's my point. Okay, it's much cheaper than go to your credit card or your line of credit. Your line of credit right now is based on T-bond. Okay, it's possible 6-7%. So based on that, why not take the zero interest? Okay, and but I don't think this is how this program want to give to those qualified people rather than the people, really need help. So we want to give this money, to the people really in need. That's my point.
I honestly think with lowering the interest rate and increasing the maximum income limits, that's really going to increase our applications. That's going to...
And the promotion to the senior, because they have a lot of seniors who still live in their home.
Yes.
And the low income, people that they lose their job, possible they need some funding to fix their home.
These changes, it's going to help with that. And
so we can change. or no?
With the proposed changes, lowering it to 0% and increasing the 25,000, I think that's going to vastly.
So higher the amount, the $30,000, and the lower the income. That's why you say I'm gonna
No, lowering the interest rate and increasing the maximum.
Right now it's zero interest.
No, right now it's 5%.
No, we're going to change it to zero interest.
That's agreed. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to change to zero interest, and from 10,000 we're going to raise to 25,000.
That is
I'm
correct.
thinking about 25,000. You still cannot do too many of construction. 30,000 possible, but again, it kind of squeeze of people can use the money. But again, I really have a problem to give people with $90,000 income.
So as a suggestion, should we maybe lower all those figures, maybe 5 or 10,000 across the board?
Can I make one comment?
Yes.
So as Councilwoman Lopez Viado mentioned earlier about the HILP program, so that was targeted for low income, and that's why there was no repayment provisions. There are prepayment provisions because this is for the moderate income household level. It doesn't mean that someone of lower income can't qualify for this. It's the maximum, right? So anyone up to that, anyone below that qualifies.
And can I add?
We do get a lot of seniors that do apply. We get a lot of individuals on fixed income. We get, I think right now the issue in getting applications is the $10,000 limit on the loans and the eligible improvements, where a lot of them want to install AC units in their home, which is way above the $10,000. And so I think those proposed changes are going to make a significant impact on the individuals that apply for the loan.
As our assistant city manager mentioned, the vast majority of the applicants are seniors and lower income, so they are applying.
As long as we can give this to the people in need and to help them to $25,000 to maybe put the air condition or change the window double panel, because most of the home is small, the 1,200 square feet home. Most of the home in the middle or north side of property. So, okay, let's build in 1950 or 1945. And so the home has no insulation. I lived one before, okay, 235, and there is no insulation, okay, single panel when I move in, and no air condition. Okay, so they have a swimming pool.
Adding AC.
Okay, so kind of track me into because I have a pool. It's no air condition.
Anyone else?
Thank you. Just regarding the moderate income, I mean, for a new homeowner is not going to be in that income level. You know, if you're going to buy a new home in West Covina, a home built in 1954, it's going to cost you about $1 million. You're not making $95,000 a year. So these are older homeowners who've been in the homes for a very long time, who are going to be able to apply. This isn't going to go to the new professionals or new things like that. So I actually think that the income level there, I mean, it would be very difficult for, like I said, a more recent homeowner in West Covina to actually be able to meet those income limits. And I think if we do want people to apply, and if we are targeting seniors, I actually think that is probably right on for those. I mean, you know, 95,000 for a family of four. I'll tell you, I have a family of four, and it's tough as a new homeowner in West Covina. So, thank you.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
So the requirement of 12 months, has that always been the case?
Since it was reinstated in 2014.
Prior to that, was it?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, I thought it was like 24 months. You had to be a resident, be in there for 2 years. Now, is there also a requirement, because I think prior it's like you can't just use the money and flip it, flip the home, that you have to stay there at a certain amount of time?
We don't currently have that restriction on the home,
okay,
or on the loans.
And then for once payment starts to happen, and for, you know, fixed income or lost a job, what happens if they can't make those payments?
Well, what is going to happen with these loans moving forward is that year 5, they will be transferred over to our loan servicing consultant, and they're the ones that handle the monthly repayments. And if there's a default on payment, they do pursue a debt collection with the homeowner.
I just didn't want to put the burden on them. I mean, if it's just so it's just pretty much put a lien on that property. So
We do put a deed of trust, and we do have them sign a promissory note.
And it ends there, though. I mean, it's not like they continue with the interest until
There's no interest on the new proposed guidelines.
Okay. All right. That's the only question I had.
Okay, well, I think what I'm hearing, maybe based on what I've heard, if I could suggest we take $10,000 off each one of those numbers. Another slide, please.
Sorry.
Right there. So maybe lower each one of those 8 figures by 10,000. Is that the direction you guys are thinking?
Can I have the attorney jump in on that? I don't know, Tom, because the funds that we use specifically reference the level of income that we have to reference. And so I'm not sure if that's something that we can reduce it on a city level.
If this is the council's direction, we'll look at it, but if there's some requirements and guidelines that come along with the money, when typically there are, then we won't be able to move it per council's direction. But I don't know the answer to that.
So we can put subject to, okay, and the guideline. I think lower the income levels is much more feasible. We have how many homes? We have 120,000 population. We have a lot of old home, and just for 20 home, there's only 20 slots. So in that way, we hopefully can let people in need to have it and encourage them to apply. It's only 20 some slot.
So 10,000 less if allowable by law.
Can I make a suggestion? Yes. Because we refer to these income levels on an annual basis to update what we refer to. Instead of saying 10,000, maybe we lower it from moderate income to low income, and we move forward with that.
Okay, excuse me. Yeah, I disagree because you go to LA County household average is $72,000. Okay, and if you go to La Puente and El Monte, they are below 72,000. West Covina is about 82,000. Okay, let's check about this information. So average income, LA County, household income, okay, that is $72,000. Okay, so meaning the poverty level should be below the $72,000, and now this is $90 some thousand dollars.
So we get these figures from LA County, and these are the medium income limit.
No, I remember it's 70. LA County is 72, and La Puente and Bowen Park is 65, and West Covina is 82. And I get it from the census.
We don't get it from the census. We get it from the Los Angeles County, and it's the median income for the area.
We're here to argue with you. Say, can we reduce the $10,000 or not? Okay, if not, we subject to. Can we do that?
So make your motion, give your direction. We will follow up subject to or as allowed, as permitted by law, and we'll look at it.
I will second to Mayor Dario Cassiano's motion. I second.
We have a first and a second. Any more comments?
Can we just test this out? Because if we're only getting 10 to 15 applications per year, we're getting a small amount of applications. 2, we know the reasons why a lot of them didn't apply because the cost. Well, not only that, they want to apply, but because before it was $10,000. So if their AC was $15,000, then they said, forget it, I'm not going to apply because they don't have that extra $5,000 to spare. But now that it's up, they can make their modifications done. So in this case, now they can go ahead and apply because when they're low income, they can't cover those costs.
But because they can do it, so more people will apply. So we need to restrict to get the lower income people to have a chance and to upgrade their home. That's the point. Because if more people, since we increase from 10,000 to 25,000, maybe even 30,000, so that really can improve their home. So the point is, in that way, more people to apply. So in that way, we want to maybe using the money for the people really in need. And that's why I said again and again.
I do understand, and I'd like to test it out within a year because those who are middle income, especially with families and children, it is still difficult. And if you need these requirements of central AC, water heater, things, especially this, Americans with Disability, the ADA accessibility, and they're not qualified for low income because some of the low income, they're technically not middle income. They just went over, I would hate to see somebody who's low income that lower, and they're over $2,000.
Understand.
Now I don't qualify.
Got it.
So I want to just make sure.
I know, but we have a first and second.
Okay, that's true.
So we can vote. Okay, maybe we don't have the enough vote.
Sure.
So let's give a try.
No problem.
This is subject to, can we do it? If possible, we cannot do it.
Okay.
At least we hope, for the people with the need, really can use this amount of money to improve. It's not trying to restrict the people. We're trying to use, hopefully people really can use this and they don't have a chance before, they can do it. Okay, and when you have almost 100,000, 96,000, if possible, you can use some of the other way to get this thing done. But a lot of people with low income, they don't. So again, so anyway, we have first and go ahead. I don't know.
I think we have a few more comments, but to your point, I get your point, and I agree with what you're saying. You want to just test it to see what happens. I also think maybe we'll see what the staff research says. Maybe it will have to stay, and we will be able to give it a chance. And I know you've got a comment. Did you also have a comment? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor.
Right with you.
So maybe there's something we can do in the process, the screening process, that we can maybe give it to the people that make less income. I mean, is there a problem with that? I mean, or maybe we give it to the seniors only. Is there a problem with that?
That's what the attorney say.
Oh, we can. I see. Okay.
But that's, I think, a good point. We'll research all
what's the screening process?
Councilman Tabatabai.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I'd like to say how enjoyable it is to have a motion, a second, and then debate. So I'm really enjoying this process. It's much better. I think the public, we're enjoying it better. I want to piggyback on what Councilwoman Lopez Villado said. I think it's a great point. We don't have the data on what the new program, right? Who will apply at the 25,000, and again, the moderate income, the points being made here is, what these are numbers that are picked out, that are studied. I think one issue I do have with the lowering at 10,000, it seems like arbitrarily, that's
totally agree.
Right. And so I think to go with what we currently have set up here, or that's being proposed, seeing what happens over the year, to see how many people actually do apply, who are the people who are going to benefit from this. Is it the population of people that we're intending for it to help? I think then we can revisit the program and say, you know what, actually, it was a lot of people who took advantage of a program that maybe, it wasn't really intended to, or maybe it will be the families that we're hoping to help. So I'd like to, I don't know, the Councilwoman didn't make a motion, but I'm just in agreement with her.
Theirs. I guess we have to vote on theirs.
We'll vote on theirs.
But I'd like to actually change and add something to this, because I don't want to see people take advantage of it and flip it. So I know. So if there is something that we can state, if they do get this and they end up selling it within 3 years, then interest applies or something like that. I mean, I'd like to see that if there is like a penalty. And I know that there should be somewhat of a penalty because it is geared for that. Or for those who have lived at least a minimum of 2 years, because they show consistency of trying to stay in our city and not just flip this home. So a minimum of staying and a minimum of not having to sell it and using our program for that. So I'd like to see, I'd like to motion if that is possible to add those two.
I think attorney have to check into. They cannot even agree about lower the income. Nevertheless, about restriction, about flipping this and that. So.
Exactly. So, yeah, and I think that the main point that's being made by all of us here is we want to help as many people in need who need it. And we're just kind of throwing ideas around about what's legal about that direction and how to best achieve that. So we've got a motion and a second. We've had a lot of discussion. Roll call, please.
So I have a motion by Mayor Castellano.
One more thing.
No. I think you need to. What motion? People
Yes,
lost.
I'm getting there. Yes, absolutely.
After all the argument,
Everything we just said.
I have a motion.
I think the motion is lower the income level to $10,000
Yes,
each.
I'm
subject
to the thing. Okay, and plus add regarding no flipping this and that. All this no abuse. Okay.
Or should we put in two separate motions?
So the motion on the table is to lower the income by $10,000 subject by law. That is the motion that was made by Mayor Castellanos and seconded by Councilman Wu. If the mayor would like to change his motion.
I'm totally okay with amending it. I think the spirit of it all is to do the best thing possible. So I'm totally okay with that.
We check everything at one time.
Yeah.
You want to amend it?
Yes, absolutely. I'll amend it to include what Councilwoman Lopez Viado stated.
Well, is it? Because, I mean, the lowering of the payment, I still have a little bit of problem, especially with family and kids. But I do, on that motion, I'm yes to that, no to that. But, I mean,
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Councilmember Tabatabai.
I'm going to vote no.
Councilman Wu.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Diaz. Mayor Castellanos.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-2.
All right. That takes us to number 5, Trans Tech.
I know.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's
Floor is
see.
yours.
So my question is, we had a cap of $700,000, and now with this new, if we amend it and remove the compensation limit, is there a cap for that now?
Through the chair, this is an amendment to an existing contract with TransTech Engineering, who, if I may say, is doing a really remarkable job for the city. The caps, the controls that would remain in place would be budgetary. What we found is with this really big rise in the number of capital projects, that the initial amounts that were contemplated in that first agreement really are way too low.
Right.
So this is really driven by the number of engineering plan checks, the inspections, and the permit issuances, and those are way up. In a single year, it jumped from 471 to over 882. And it's funded from a variety of places, including Prop C, gas tax, street maintenance fund, maintenance, and other funds. And so we think it makes sense as this contract gets considered for extension that we amend it to do away with the caps, but again, to leave those budgetary controls as part of the policy document, which is the annual budget.
Okay. Thank you. That's
Okay. A question, Councilman Wu.
And on this is engineering, right? Yes. So this is not building and safety. Last time we did a building and safety. Okay, and then all this money. Okay, how much we pay for the fiscal years 2021 to 2022, and then all those money paid by whom? Is it from general fund or this from the restricted fund? And so we want to know, okay, what is money coming from, and then how we can continue. Maybe they can find grant for us. Can you give me more detail regarding all this function?
The engineering and the CIP services are paid from a variety of funds. Almost all of them are special funds. So as we are successful in garnering grants, like we've got our fingers crossed now on a $7 million federal grant, or the state grants in aid that we've been securing along the way, those come with a funding source that enable us to pay for these engineering services. The majority are restricted funds.
So the funding, all this funding, restricted fund, special fund, who find all this funding for us? Is it Transtech finding for us, or are we, CT, we owe this?
Through the chair, we think of this as a partnership, and I have to give the credit to our partner, that they really got a grant writer that's been doing a remarkable job. The projects for the hazard safety elimination program, et cetera. They've been writing those grants, identifying them, and securing them. So they're doing the lion's share of the work.
Yeah, based on last time the presentation of capital improvement, we see a 2 million some square footage of repayment of our street because there's a major increase. So this is coming from the engineering to finding all the funding for, so we can repay the street, make it nice, okay, because we have continue to do it. Go ahead.
That's exactly right. The total capital project list, and we meet literally every other week and go over all of the capital projects, and it's multiple millions of dollars now, north of $90 million, primarily restricted funds.
So basically, we try to approve tonight is due to we have so many of capital improvement and some of from cities, some of from our Transtech, our contract, engineering to find all this funding, okay, and continue to improve our city. So basically, none of this from the general fund.
The overwhelming majority is restricted funds. Yes, sir.
Overwhelming. So they have some still.
There are some general fund monies included here, but the lion's share is restricted funds.
So basically, 90% is all the restricted fund and special fund to improve our city with the street, capital improvement, and all this, okay, and from the fire station improvement, and some of our, is that park belong to sewer?
The sewer fund, the landscape maintenance districts, the citywide district, the Cdbg funded projects that they've helped us administer. The most recent, the $1 million playground at Friendship Park, our most recent paving project in the south end of town, which was some $1.8 million, primarily Cdbg funds. So as these projects are brought forward for council consideration, we identify a funding source and ask you to authorize it. The engineering work follows that, and that's what this contract provides.
So the last question will be, I'm done. Okay, so basically with Transtech Engineering, they perform so we can get more capital improvement, more funding due to their capacity, ability, okay, and competent to find those funding at the same time and to do this capital improvement for us. Because people ask me, so we do in-house, okay, with engineering. I think maybe, okay, engineering possible with their strong engineering background. So I don't know, maybe we can share some light about in-house our engineering compared with outsourcing or Transtech. I think this is something that people want to know the answer.
Well, this is a service bureau model where we requested proposals and invited qualified firms to give us a proposal and a bid. We interviewed firms, we selected firms, and then the council awarded to this firm. It seems to be working very well for us, and I'm satisfied with this relationship, and we seem to be doing very well in terms of project delivery.
Got it. Okay, I remember previously we have 1.5 in-house engineering, okay, but now we still have outsourcing for some projects. So if we let them in charge and they focus to give us more capital improvement, so maybe it's worthwhile to continue, keep you for a while. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any further questions or comments? No? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Diaz and a second by Councilman Wu. Councilmember Tabatabai?
Aye.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Diaz?
Aye.
Mayor Castellanos?
Aye.
Item passes 5-0.
Thank you. This is to item number 10. I'm pulling that. I would like to get an update from either our staff or MV Transit actually regarding what has been learned about the routes, the usability of our routes, and any feedback that has been received since last time we spoke. So I'd like to invite TransTech up, please. Or not TransTech, MV Transit.
Just that you have to come up.
A little bit of fatigue.
You in charge of buses.
So,
You don't know details, but you got to speak on it. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Judy Smith, MV Transportation. I'm starting to take it personal. We're here last every time. But it's been a very good meeting tonight. Listen, I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to you guys again tonight. We've been working with Kelly and the consultant on basically gathering the data on information on the routes, what's working, what's not working, what stops are viable and what stops are not viable. I was at the meeting where the consultant did do a presentation with some options for services throughout the city. And since that time, we've been continuing to give more data for the consultant to actually pull together plans for potentially a recommendation at some point. But I'll defer to Kelly. Is he here? Yeah. For the final product, but we've been providing all the data to let them show what's potentially what's happening. I would like to report that last month we provided about 10 extra special services for some of the seniors throughout the city. We're seeing ridership coming up a little bit, schools back in service, and we're really happy to be your partner, but I'll just defer to Kelly at this time.
Thank you. He speaks or no?
I'm sorry, I missed your question.
Just an update about the data that we have gathered since last time we asked MV Transit and City Staff.
Right, they've been providing daily trip sheets. I've tabulated in the first quarter or the second quarter's worth of data, April through June, to give us a snapshot of that. We're working with that information, and it's kind of what you would expect. It's the shopping centers, it's the schools, things of that nature. Those are the higher trafficked areas.
And has that data helped us project maybe better routes since then, or are we not quite there yet? Do we need to gather more data?
Well, I think the information that we have affirms what we had looked at in March and used to establish those alignments that are being proposed.
Okay. So, what are the changes that we could make so that we increase the usage of the routes?
Well, last we came before you, had three alternatives, one being a realignment of those lines. Currently, those are circular looping lines, the red and blue, greens, kind of a linear thing. But the proposal to realign those would be to create a red line that's linear.
Okay, like what was proposed last time.
Correct.
All right, well, that's no more questions for me. Councilman Wu.
One. So since you collect the data and the MV Transit, been operating with us, how many years with us already?
Is it 13?
13 years. So I think
20,
you know our city very, very well. So how soon we can get a new route? So there will be maybe much more ridership. Do you have a projection time?
Well, we have proposals that we're going to be bringing to you on the 6th.
So today we just temporarily.
This is. Yeah, because we're in the middle of the evaluation, and depending on the direction we get, there's going to be a procurement process and so forth. And so
how soon we going to have a proposal? I think you have a town hall meeting with a resident. Thursday. Yeah, we want people ride the bus to have input about what is their preference.
Right.
Okay, and so at least we understand. Because people using the bus, we want them to have input. Okay, right. And for us, for me, I have to be honest. I didn't take the bus in the West Covina, so I don't think I should have a right to make a decision. I should have people taking the buses have more input. I think it's important for the people to talk to you, and we want more. I think I 100% agree with Mayor. We want more ridership. Okay, for people, you don't want to see empty buses riding around all the time. Like, may we go around, but there's nobody on the top. So I think this is how we try to do. So it will be next month.
Is when we're going to bring the evaluation back to you for some
about the
for an
new route,
evaluation.
everything, the data.
Right.
We can take a look into
the three new alternatives.
School, the shopping mall, the sportplex. Let's accumulate more people to take the ride.
Right. We're going to bring those alternatives back with community feedback. We currently have a survey that's live up on the website and been published through the social media. We also have it marketed through the on the vehicles.
So it will be September, the first meeting or second meeting?
The first meeting, yes.
First meeting, we're going to have the new data. Cool.
Looking forward to that. Any more questions? Councilwoman, okay. First, Councilwoman Lopez Viado, then Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I know you're reaching out to the things you just mentioned, but is it possible to also reach out to the school districts, to the businesses as well as the seniors, so that they have the input, because most of them, they utilize that.
Yes.
So if we could just make sure to reach out to them as well.
Yes, of course.
Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. So they're requesting for us to extend this for another year.
Yeah, we have to do that because if we don't, they fall out of contract. And that's why I'm, in order to feel comfortable doing that, I just want to make sure that everything that we've requested regarding making the whole system smarter is still ongoing at full force.
Okay, so that's something that's going to be provided in September?
Correct.
Okay.
But we have a termination clause for 30 days, right?
That's right.
So if they don't do, so even we approve this for 12 months, we still have a right to 30-day notice. I think that's what you're concerned.
Yes.
If we don't get what we want, if we keep the extension for 12 months, what kind of right we have to get, and some other option. Okay, so in that way you have a protection to amend it for something.
That's what it was.
Thank you for that. Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
Can we just make sure that we don't drop the ball on this? I know sometimes when we approve a contract for a year, we lose track and then we don't hear from them until the renewal of the contract happens. So I just want to make sure that we have this going, that we're consistently pushing through, because it seems like we just have that long period until contract renewals start happening. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
6 months.
It's appropriate to have a suggestion to approve their contract, and how to speaking to nothing to against, and what we just want to people can utilize that thing. Hopefully, we can have another tryout for like Mayor last time talk about the Uber.
Yeah.
Lyft. Maybe we can kind of we approve. By the same time, we have a test program for 65 years and older to register, so show them how to utilize and compare with their route and with the Uber to kind of see both which one will be more efficient and sufficient.
Yep.
And in that way they get some competition. Is the Monrovia is the model we want to adopt, or we want to use the good model of MV? So at least you have some competition and we have some comparison. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely, for the purpose of just better transportation for our people.
Yeah, we just want to people utilize the transportation to move around the city. We have big city from north and south. It's far, east and west. So how can we utilize and have a student to utilize their MV? I think Longaza High School utilize a lot, right? So now school is going to start. We want to make sure they can continue to use their service. But at the same time, some senior, 65 and older, they can just go to their home, pick it up, and they pay $3, cap $20. Anything above it, they have to pay. But at least they could go to the shopping mall or supermarket or a doctor office. So to make the thing make sense to you, Kelly?
It does. Let me just rephrase that back to you. You said you'd be open to extending the current shuttle contract and so forth, but you want to continue the Uber. Have us look at the Uber pilot.
Right. Look into possibility at 65 years and older.
65 and over?
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody more than 65 years old in West Covina resident, okay, let them to apply.
Okay.
Let's see how it goes. And then we keep a certain amount of number so we don't run out of money, and let them to test drive about this. So last time it's because 25 people. This time we get any people 65 and older, okay, and some people want to drive, but some people really cannot drive. Maybe they can utilize.
Right.
Pilot program.
Yeah, pilot program.
Okay. It's 65. The current dial-a-ride age is 55. I don't know if that matters or you want to just raise it to...
Let's try 65. Makes sense? 65 and older?
Sure, I'm fine with it.
Is it like this?
Right?
What's this
We have a lot of
thing,
65. I know a lot of 70, 80 people.
55 is young.
No, what you want to say? So I think 60. I think 65 is okay. You go 50. He said 55. I think 55 is too young. I think 65.
65.
Yeah, they can get medi, so possible they have to go to the hospital.
Disabled.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe we can try out, and at the same time we can extend their contract.
Okay.
And let's see which one. If they are much better, then we use them and the dial ride. By the way, dial ride we need to keep dial ride because the ADA they have a wheelchair.
Very useful.
And yeah, very useful because wheelchair access most of Uber doesn't have.
No.
Right. And that's the issue Monrovia ran into recently, that they had to...
I got all the information from Monrovia. The mayor already sent me all the information. I will provide to city manager and the mayor.
Right.
So hopefully you guys can review it, see... Right. Let's see how they flop, and let's see. I think I have confidence in MV because last time in Sportplex they did a good job. Okay, I'm really impressed. Hopefully, okay, we can work together and get a better route. I think people need the buses. Okay, so anyway, this is my...
Mr. Mayor, on the agenda tonight is this extension. We'll bring back on the 6th the Uber with the age requirement for you to vote on. We'll agendize it for that meeting.
Good.
Okay.
We'll discuss with Uber and get a pricing and try to get that back on the site as quickly as possible.
You started doing it right now.
Yes.
So it's coming from our discussion.
Yes.
And Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
Thank you, Mayor. I had just a quick question. The Dial-A-Ride, I've always loved that program. I believe that's a great program. I know the only issue is that they had to call the day before minimum, but I just wanted to clarify, can they use the Dial-A-Ride same day? They could. Okay, that was my only question I had. That's it. Thank you.
A quick question. So that arrived from the MV2?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you have everything. Did a good job.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve this and extend for 1 year.
Second.
Roll call, please.
I have a motion by Mayor Castellanos and a second by Councilman Wu. Councilmember Tabatabai?
Aye.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Diaz?
Aye.
Mayor Castellanos?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. And before we adjourn, do we have any reports, requests, or comments from the council? Seeing none, we are adjourned at 9:11.